You've said it, I've said it, we've all felt it. It's that nagging feeling that if something has even a tiny chance of going wrong, it absolutely positively will. Today, we're getting to the bottom of Murphy's Law. I mean, have you ever had one of those days, you know the ones I'm talking about, where it feels like the universe itself has a personal grudge against you? Of course you have. It usually starts with something small.
Okay, picture this. Your alarm decides not to go off. You've got 10 minutes, maybe less, to get ready for the biggest presentation of your career. The clock is ticking, the pressure is on. So you grab a quick coffee, you're rushing, and yep, there it is. A giant brown splash right down the front of your perfectly clean shirt. It's almost a comedy sketch, isn't it? But it happens.
And then, just as you step out the door, thinking maybe you salvage the situation, the heavens open up. No umbrella, naturally. Of course. We call this whole chain reaction of bad luck Murphy's Law. But what if I told you the real law has absolutely nothing to do with bad luck, or spilt coffee, or the universe hating you, and everything to do with rocket science?
Yeah, forget about some ancient piece of wisdom. The true story here is loud. It's fast, and it involves a literal rocket sled.
So, let's hop in a time machine back to 1949. We're at Edwards Air Force Base, the absolute cutting edge of aviation, a place where they were pushing the envelope of what humans and machines could do every single day. The Air Force was running this really intense experiment, basically strapping people to a rocket sled to see how many G-forces a pilot could take. After a crazy, bone-rattling run, the team goes to check the 16 vital sensors that were supposed to measure everything. The result? Total silence. Every single one of them had been wired completely backwards. A 100% failure that was totally avoidable.
And this is where we meet the man, the myth, the legend. Captain Edward A. Murphy, Jr. He was the engineer who actually designed that sensor system. And you can bet he was frustrated. But not with fate or bad luck. He was mad at the technician who made such a basic, repeated mistake.
This is what he actually said. It wasn't some grand pronouncement about the universe. It was a very specific complaint about one guy's shoddy work. But later, at a press conference, the project manager simplified it to just Murphy's Law. And the name? Well, it just stuck, spreading like wildfire through engineering and beyond.
Okay, so if the whole thing started with a specific engineering screw-up, why does it feel so deeply, personally true for all of us? Well, the answer isn't out there in the cosmos. It's right here inside our own heads. Seriously, how did a complaint about a wiring harness become our go-to explanation for why toast always seems to land butter side down? It turns out our brains are kind of hardwired to believe in it, thanks to a few clever mental shortcuts. The main culprit here is something called confirmation bias. Basically, once we start to believe something, like, I just have bad luck, our brain becomes a detective, actively searching for clues that prove our theory right and completely ignoring all the evidence that proves us wrong. Just think about it for a second. You never remember the dozens, maybe hundreds of times your toast landed perfectly fine, butter side up. But that one time it makes a mess on the floor, your brain screams, "See, Murphy's Law." You completely forget all the days you cruise through green lights, but you will remember with perfect clarity that one day you hit every single red light on your way to work. That's confirmation bias doing its thing. And to top it off, we all have a built-in negativity bias. From a survival standpoint, it was way more important for our ancestors to remember the one berry that made them sick than the 100 that were delicious. So our brains are literally wired to give more weight to bad experiences. That coffee spill feels way more significant than 100 mornings without a single drop spilled. So we know where it really came from, and we know why our brains trick us into believing it. But here's where it gets really interesting. What if we could actually use this? It's time to reframe Murphy's Law, not as some cosmic curse, but as a seriously powerful tool. And this is the most important part. In the worlds of engineering, aviation, and software development, Murphy's Law is not a sigh of defeat. It's a call to action. It is the fundamental idea behind something called defensive design, which means designing things to work even when everything goes wrong. You can use this exact same thinking in your own life. When you're planning something important, use Murphy's Law as your pre-flight checklist. Ask yourself, where are all the places this could fail? What's your backup plan if the Wi-Fi goes out during your presentation? Is that important file saved in more than one place? By planning for things to go wrong, you build a plan that's way more likely to go right.
So let's tie this all together. We've watched Murphy's Law go from a frustrated comment about a single technician to a full-on strategy for success.
And that right there is the big takeaway. Murphy's Law isn't a prediction that you're doomed to fail. It's a prescription for how to succeed. It's a reminder that thinking ahead, planning for problems, and building in backups is the smartest way to make sure failure just doesn't happen.
So then next time you're working on something big, don't just cross your fingers and hope for the best. Actively plan for the worst. Ask yourself, what's the one thing that could go wrong here? And more importantly, what am I going to do about it?